What is that?
I don't believe I've ever had this before.
It's a party special! Russian roulette takoyaki! Oh. The way the game works is most of these are filled with delicious octopus, but one has wasabi instead, and you won't know till you bite down. So try your luck and let's get this party started!
Hello there. Welcome back to another episode of Anime with Alvin, where today we're going to be making Russian roulette takoyaki from Dragon Ball Super. Now, in this fascinating episode, there is a platter of takoyaki presented to the guests. Takoyaki is a Japanese food. It comes in the shape of a couple of battered balls, in which the middle is usually octopus and other fillings. Now, the catch is that in one of these balls is going to be not octopus, but pure wasabi. So that is kind of the Russian roulette aspect of it. And because we have probably the most people I've seen in the studio today, I decided it would be a great time to try this little game with our friends. Alright, let's get started. So first we're going to cut up our octopus, which is actually pre-cooked that we got from the Japanese grocery store. It saves us a lot of work, and we're just going to cut these into really small chunks, about ½ inch in size. If they're too big, they won't fit in the pan. Next, we're going to take this red benishoga, or pickled ginger, and also chop that up into little bits. We're essentially preparing our fillings and toppings for our takoyaki. Then some scallions, separating the greens and the whites, and also slicing that into little tiny bits. Following that, we're going to take a handful of these bonito flakes and use a mortar and pestle to grind them down into a fine powder to sprinkle inside. Then with some hondashi, we're going to mix this with 2 cups of hot water to essentially make 2 cups of instant dashi, which is going to season our batter and give it more of a seafood taste. Okay, let's make the batter. We're going to have 2 cups of cake flour, a tablespoon of cornstarch, a teaspoon of salt, and after that's all mixed together, I'm going to go ahead and add in the dashi from earlier, as well as 2 eggs, beating that together until it's nice and incorporated. Now, to me, it's looking a little on the thin side, so I'm going to add a little bit more cake flour and adjust this until the right consistency. For seasoning, I'm going to add a teaspoon of soy sauce and a teaspoon of mirin to add a little bit of saltiness and a little bit of sugar from the mirin. Alright, our batter is now ready and will probably rest for about 10 minutes or so, kind of like a pancake batter. Okay, now to cook takoyaki, there's a lot of different ways to do it. If you go on Amazon, there's probably these electric plug-in machines that have the hemisphere molds to cook your takoyaki balls in, but I've learned from experience it is best to do them in a cast iron pan over a hot flame, because the electric plug-in ones don't really give you the heat that you need to cook this the right color. So with the 4x4 pan that we got online, we're going to put that over our little stove here and set that over a medium-low heat while we use some oil to make sure that everything is nice and greased. Alright, to make the takoyaki, first we're going to spoon in enough batter until essentially the batter has overflowed and is now covering the entire pan. The misconception is that you only need to fill each little hemisphere once, and that's not the case because all of this extra batter is going to give the other half of the ball shape for each one of these. After we've added enough batter, I'm going to go ahead and add in our fillings. First, each ball needs to get a chunk of octopus, which can be a little bit tricky because you can't really see where each of those circular molds is because the batter has been filled. So it's kind of a fun game of hopefully it falls in the right spot. Then I'm going to add some of our benishoga, some scallions, and then top that with a heavy dusting of our bonito powder. Okay, so here is probably the most important part about the cooking process. There's a fine line between waiting until the batter has set and sizzled in the right places, and then pushing enough batter around each of those little balls back into itself. It's essentially the equivalent of tucking your belongings underneath your bed when the guests arrive, because if you don't, your mom gets mad, but you don't want to put them away, so it's a lot easier to just put them under the bed. So what I'm also doing with these little takoyaki skewers is I'm trying to cut the seared batter that has been in line in the 4x4 grid and use the sides of that to push back into the center. Now, what I like to do when it comes to rotating these is instead of using 2 to kind of flip it over on itself, there's kind of a stab and rotate motion, almost like you were folding a whipped cream into a pastry cream. I'm trying to poke the ball towards the middle about 3/4 of the way down and essentially turn that over and flip it on itself, dragging back the skewer towards the top in one fluid motion. If I do that correctly, it's going to turn over and you're going to see that a nice smooth ball shape on the bottom is formed. Now, we just continue to do so for another 10 minutes or so. These do need to be cooked on a low heat so that way we don't burn the outside. I started off a little hotter than usual because I'm trying to calibrate the heat setting, so my first batch is on the darker side, but no worries, that's just crispy and I think that's some extra flavor. After rotating and doing that J kind of turning movement for all 16 of these balls repeatedly until each one of them is nice and smooth on the outside, we're going to take those out and put them on a plate. Now, in the show, there's quite a lot served because, well, with roulette, there's a lot of options, so we can't just serve only 16. We have to make a couple of batches here. Alright, let's repeat the entire process again. After wiping the grill clean, we're gonna oil it up, turn the heat down all the way to low, fill in the batter until it's overflowed, drop in our octopus, drop in our scallions, our pickled ginger, drop in our bonito flakes. You can also add crispy tempura bits. That's also a pretty common way to do it, but also you could add corn, you could add cheese, you could add hot dogs. It doesn't have to be octopus. That's the kind of the fun thing where if you wanted to play just normal roulette, you could put a different topping in each of the 16 balls and some people would luck out. Alright, our second batch is looking pretty good, a lot better than our first one. And now that I've got the hang of it, it's kind of like making pancakes. Once you got the first one out of the way, the next ones are a breeze. We're going to move on to a third and final batch to make this truly a roulette. Now, I don't know how many options roulette has, but I'm saying 48 is pretty good because I always lose. Alright, we're going to move on to our third batch, repeating the same exact process as before, but instead of filling all 16 with octopus, we do need our Danger Bomb Takoyaki, that we are going to take this wasabi from a tube because it is actually more accurate in this form, and we're going to give that a healthy little dollop or glug right inside one of these balls. That is going to be the danger zone. I'm definitely not mentally keeping track of where that one is, so I definitely don't be the one to personally eat it. No, that would not be fair at all, not me. Okay, so once that is all done, our third batch is ready, and now we have a total of 48 beautiful little takoyaki balls. 47 regular ones and one quite spicy one. To finish, we're going to plate these up by brushing some takoyaki or okonomi sauce or even tonkatsu sauce you find at the Japanese grocery store. You could make this, but most of the places that I see that serve this, the store-bought stuff is just as delicious. It's sweet, it's tangy, there's hints of soy, Worcestershire, some fruit sometimes, and it pairs really well with the seafood. And then another signature topping of takoyaki is a healthy zigzag driggle of Kewpie mayo. And to finish, some scallions for a couple of green bright garnishes and a dance of bonito flakes right on top so that they can wave in the heat of the takoyaki balls. And just like that, our dangerous game is ready to play. We've invited everyone in the studio downstairs to play a game of Russian roulette takoyaki. Let's first everybody go grab a ball. Now, because there are around 12 people here, there is a 1 in 4 chance of the first round that you're going to get it, followed by a 1 in 3 chance, followed by a 50% chance, until there is down to nothing but 1. First round, everybody took the bite, looks around, seems like everybody's safe for now. I think if someone got the spicy one, they would have been an instant visceral reaction, and we would have been able to pan the camera to show you guys, but everybody's looking pretty cool. Okay, second round, here we go, let's get in there. Looks like we still haven't gotten it yet. I actually have forgotten the location of where I have placed it. I also turned it upside down on purpose so I wouldn't see any of the wasabi, so kind of sabotage myself here. I mean, just playing by the rules fairly, like everybody else. Okay, everybody's safe for the second round. The takoyaki is dwindling and the odds of getting a spicy one and going to the hospital is increasing. Okay, let's keep going. Andrew seems to... Oh, wait. Oh yeah, he said... Oh yeah. That's the one. He got it. Wow, he's taking this quite like a champ. Just kidding, he is completely overwhelmed and on the floor. Wow, it looks like he is emotional over the fact that he won. That is, congratulations. You have one ticket to the emergency room after that one. Good luck with smelling things for the next 2 weeks. Okay, you couldn't see this, but Andrew had to go upstairs and take a moment for himself. Anyway, with our victor decided, it's kind of eye-opening to see the possibilities of what you could put in takoyaki after playing this game. You could make a pizza one with some cheese and pepperoni. You could put mac and cheese in it. You could probably put any leftover you had at the fridge that was savory or even sweet into a takoyaki. In that case, it just turns into a ball game. Just a like super monkey ball. Except some people might like it if they lose. Anyway, let's go ahead and pack this up because these do actually reheat beautifully in the oven at convection, a toaster oven, or an air fryer the next day. They get almost extra crispy and something subtle about the flavor changes in a way that's just like a really good red sauce that gets better the next day. And don't worry, there won't be any that have wasabi, so anybody can take this home pain-free. Because Andrew surely ate the only one that had wasabi. I didn't put any extra ones in there. Did I?